and it was just magical. It just, I think, I think you think of the Kalahari Desert as this nothingness, and it's further from the truth. It's so alive with stars are incredible. The vastness of this land. Not seeing people for hours and hours, and in the way people view it as, oh, there's nothing there. And I think it's that vastness or that nothingness that once you start to look, there's so much there, and it's really a it's amazing what survives there, what is there, and it's not nothing.
Laurel Neme has devoted her life to defending wildlife in a diversity of ways. With a PhD from Princeton University, she created a unique career for herself as a writer, investigator, and consultant, traveling the world to help investigate and expose the abuses of wildlife to make positive changes in the world. As a consultant for government and non government agencies, she has worked for the U.S. Treasury Department, the World Bank, the U.S. Agency for International Development, the Environmental Defense Fund, the Nature Conservancy, and the World Wildlife Federation. As a writer, she has produced several books about wildlife, written numerous articles for publications such as National Geographic, hosted the radio program The Wildlife, produced her own podcasts, and interviewed hundreds of people. Along the way, she has developed a curiosity in the world that goes beyond narrow human preoccupations. She has traveled far in North America, South America, and Africa into remote communities to see what happens there and to be with the people living in these remote locations. So, a question. Dolphins are remarkably intelligent creatures, and they are curious about creatures different from themselves, even curious about human beings. What did it feel like for you to swim with pink dolphins in the Amazon?
The pink dolphins are interesting because they come right up to you and they're very curious. And the first time they nudge you, it's scary, shocking. But then it's interesting because I was able to spend hours actually swimming. I love swimming. And so I was swimming just in the river where they were. And it was nice to just be able to have them around and to be able to watch them and to see what see what they're doing in their life. I mean, I'm not an expert in their behavior and whatnot, not and the water in the Amazon is really murky and brown, so it's almost like you can't see them right until they come right next to you because they blend in really a lot.
Why do you think it initially felt strange for you to be so close to them and for them to come up to you? Why would that feel strange?
Well, I think because it's out of my element, because it's something not in your normal sphere. In this case, I mean, I was expecting it, I knew it, but it still was different. They're big, they're huge, um, and it just, of course, you fear that they're going to hurt you, but you know that they're not. But maybe they would, or maybe they would inadvertently. Um, and also, I think the suddenness of it because it's just brown water, and then all of a sudden they're right there. So it was surprising, but surprising in a nice way. It was out of my sphere. I mean, I'm a land animal. They're water animals. So, different environments.
Did swimming with the dolphins change your sense of yourself?
I don't I don't know that it did or didn't. It was a magical experience um, that just let me be sort of witness their world a little bit more, and enter it. I felt sort of by the grace of their being there, I could just get a little sense of them. I don't know how much it changed me, but it I think every encounter you have sort of changes you in some way, just makes you more empathetic or thinking of how they perceive the world.
What do you mean by the word magical?
I mean, it was interesting because I was in a place and I was traveling by myself and had taken a tour from the eco lodge I was staying at to the river dolphins to be able to do this experience. And then they had an emergency. The guide, it was just me and one other person, but then the other person had some sort of medical issue, so they left me there. And there was a person around, and these dolphins, I mean, they were wild dolphins, but the site was a place where they took physically challenged individuals to come and swim and in that area with the dolphins, actually, as just a program, a very local program in the village. And so they asked if I minded being there until they came back. And I didn't. I loved it because I love swimming. So I just was in the water. The water was warm. And I felt really fortunate because instead of getting just 30 minutes or so swimming with the dolphins, I mean, I had hours. And I mean, I should have probably thought, are they going to come back? Are they not going to come back? But I didn't really think that. I knew that I just felt like they'd come back. And if not, there was somebody there, one person there, I think. But so it felt pretty amazing to just be there by myself in this wild place, just observing as I didn't, I could be there as long as I wanted and just observe. And I've always liked that because I think the more that you can sit in a place, the more you can notice. And it was really like after 30 minutes that both creatures might start to act more normally around you, and you'll start seeing things and you'll be more at ease in the environment. And so I really just love that because it takes time for you to get used to a place and to start noticing things versus and other to be around you in a wild place.
You've traveled parts of the world for a good cause, helping wildlife. The genuine sense of the adventure of travel is an aspect of curiosity. A traveler with an open mind can experience what is different from oneself, what is strange, what is an unknown otherness.
You have this image of me as this very adventurous person. On the one hand, I know it looks like that. On the other hand, like I get scared to death. I hate traveling. I just have always been really uncomfortable. I hate the process of traveling to parts unknown, and it's scary, and then yet I do it anyway. And I guess for me, that's a definition of courage and adventure, is continuing to do it because I like having been and I like being in a place. I just don't always like getting there. And you know, and that's scary. And I think it's funny. It happens to me every time. It happens when I talk to new people too. I'll get nervous before getting on the phone and then having a great conversation and becoming friends with this new person. I love it. So I keep doing all of this. um, but it's not easy, and it's not easy for a lot of people, I think. And I think that the curiosity sort of pulls you forward and expands your world. Um, Yet I don't know if it's changed my sort of always getting nervous every time I travel to a new place.
What place in your travels would you say was the most nerve wracking and the most different from you, that took you the most outside your normal sphere?
Maybe going to Brazil and going to the Amazon, because I was traveling by myself. I even thought about turning around when I was halfway there. um, and you read all these uh, stories about crime. I think that might have been the most nerve wracking in terms of travel. Yet it also ended up being one of the most rewarding, because uh, I just saw so many interesting things. It was to a place in a type of ecosystem I hadn't really been to much. Uh, I'd never been to the Amazon tropical rainforest. Hadn't been to a lot of tropical rainforests. It's very dense and hard to see things. It's uncomfortable. It's very hot and humid and very uncomfortable. Yet, and I don't speak Portuguese. Got a really interesting sense of what it's like to live there, and an appreciation for the, the connection to that environment.
Um, Getting lost can be a valuable experience. And I'd also add to that, being nervous about traveling can be a valuable experience too. But getting lost can be a valuable experience. It means experiencing a place without knowing where you are or what is around you or even who you are. It means losing your bearings and losing your sense of orientation. But that's also an opportunity for seeing things with fresh eyes and experiencing what you might not otherwise experience. You got lost in the Amazon, and maybe you've got lost in other places too. Can you talk about how that experience of getting lost felt? When you were lost, did you experience yourself as a different person? Did you see life differently?
I think when I got lost in the Amazon, um, I was still with people who knew the area intimately, and so I think what's interesting, and what some of the travel has made me, is given me confidence that people are good wherever you are, and so people generally are helpful, and not just people, but the place is a place is I'd almost rather be lost in a place with nothing around, and I feel safe, or I have confidence that that's okay. So to me, what was interesting is that in this vastness, despite knowing it, just how how vast the world is, and how changeable it is, because in that system the river winds and everything looks exactly the same, and it's changing all the time, so you have to really notice a bend in a tree or a bend in the river. Yet on the other hand, you can notice all that and know it as these people did, and it can change. So when you're going in these places you've worn, on these paths you've worn, they still change. And to me, that's sort of remarkable, that everything around you is always changing.
And so when you're in that situation where you're lost with strangers, by the way, people you don't know. You're lost with strangers. Everything's new, everything's different. How do you experience yourself in that situation? Do you experience yourself as new and different, or do you experience yourself as the same as you always are, except in a different setting?
I don't know that you really think about it while you're in it, and you're just living it. You're just going along. Uh, so that you have confidence it will work out, and you're enjoying the journey. You're getting to know other people around you, uh, seeing how they deal with the challenge. and exploring. You're still sort of exploring this, trying to see what just trying to notice what's around you, and just I think being in the moment.
You first camped in the Kalahari Desert when you were in your 20s and you returned several times. There was no practical need for you to camp in the Kalahari Desert. So, why did you do it?
I just love being out in the wilderness. It's hot. It's hot. Um, uh, uh, I think the sounds are really interesting, from the quiet of insects to the just the depth of the sounds change over in the evening and in the night. You can hear things really long distance away. You can see really long distances, but of course your perception is different because you don't really have markers that tell you. Because I like the alone feeling of just being in a place and in and with nature than being a outsider to it. So it was very natural to go camping, and it was just magical. It just I think I think you think of the Kalahari Desert as this nothingness, and it's further from the truth. It's so alive with. We went at the worst time of year to go, although maybe it's the best. We went in a January, which is the height of summer there, and and there's green everywhere, and shoots and springbok popping like pronking up like popcorn, and it just um and in the stars are incredible, the vastness of this land, not seeing people for hours and hours, and yeah, it's just really beautiful. It's actually very similar. We went to the, I don't know, not that many years ago, went to the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge and went camping there, and that was incredible. And it's actually very, yes, they're very two different ecosystems, but they're actually very similar in their remoteness and vastness, and in the way people view it as, oh, there's nothing there. And I think it's that vastness or that nothingness that once you start to look, there's so much there, and it's really a they're both really harsh environments, so it's amazing what survives there and what is there, and it's not nothing. And I guess that's the experience that is just incredible.
As a child, Jane Goodall investigated chickens. She had a dog named Rusty that she loved. She climbed trees and read the Tarzan novels. In retrospect, that seems to be the beginning of something. And yet, not everyone who climbs trees and has pets becomes a Jane Goodall. Is there an origin in your childhood to the travel and experiences you have had in places remote from America and North America and Europe?
Well, I mean, in some ways, just read, like loved reading as a kid and uh, watching documentaries like Jacques Cousteau documentaries. And although the ocean, I was always interested in those, and when a new one came out, would always watch it. Um, but also all of the documentaries on African African wildlife always sort of took my heart. And reading books like James Herriot, All Creatures Great and Small, I think I wanted to be a big animal vet. Always loved that. Horseback riding as a girl, and even reading Doctor Dolittle and imagining myself being able to talk to the animals. So when I was really young, we had a dog, so you know that. And then I had fish growing up, and I would watch the fish, and I kept notebooks full of fish behavior, and and you know, I don't as observations, and different fish would do different things. Um, they seem to have differences between them. And so I've always been interested in observing animals or watching them and trying to make connections across species. I always thought that would be super super cool. And I'm really intrigued by how much people are able to start doing that and how much people understand about vocalizations of dolphins or the all the different communications of elephants. And so I like to research and write about those stories, I think, because it fills my personal cup of wanting to connect with animals and understand how they live and what they're thinking while they live it, because the experience is quite different. Like my experience, the way I perceive the world is very different than how, say, my dog experiences the world, because my dog will experience it. Yes, he has eyes and he can see everything, but he experiences a lot of smells around the world. I think all of those experiences end up being formative. It's funny what sort of touches you and hits a chord, and how you circle back to what you loved as a child often.